Okay, we have Coach Lee, and he is ready for your questions. Right here on the left side, third row.
Hey, Coach, hey, Mitch Gibbs, WGSO Radio. I want to get your thoughts on your time at Notre Dame with Brian Kelly as the head coach. What kind of guy do you think he was?
Well, I learned a lot from Coach, and I'm indebted to him for the opportunities that he gave to me. I mean, he took a chance on a linebacker coach and thrust me into a position to be a coordinator, and I didn't know. I don't think anyone knew whether I was ready or not. I don't know that you're ever ready for those transitions. You just make the most of them, and I had really good people around me. But in a moment where we were aiming towards a national championship, I got a huge responsibility, and he and I built trust and a relationship over our time together. And I think when I took this job, I learned even more from him, just in remembering what our interactions were like and the things that he was making important and focusing on. And he's a guy that I love having in the league, and I stay in touch with. So, hey, we're different. We have different personalities, and that's all good. We align on some really important things, and I always valued, again, what he gave to me and in my experience with him.
Right side, third row.
Hey, Coach. Mo Carter from Fox 54 in Huntsville, Alabama. Two quick questions. First and foremost, second playing date. You'll play in HBCU and Alabama A&M. Can you talk about facing Coach Maynor and the Bulldogs? And then secondly, can you talk about the impact of your athletic director, Candace Story-Lee, especially of her hiring you and she receiving that recent extension to continue to lead Vanderbilt?
Well, we're excited about the opportunity to play Alabama A&M here. Obviously, as we're building a program, we're going to have our hands full week in and week out, and that's going to start with Hawaii. And this team is going to have to show up and play, but they'll be ready and they'll be excited to come up here, and we're going to need to be ready and have prepared to a level that allows us to play at our best. But I'm excited for that game. And as far as Candace Lee goes, I don't know how much time we have, but I could talk about Candace for a while. She took a chance on me to get me this opportunity. We've formed such a great partnership. I think we challenge each other in the right ways. There's a really honest nature to our conversations. She took on a big job, and she's like a year ahead of me in her development, and so she gets to mentor me along. She doesn't sweat the small stuff, but she makes sure that we maintain an alignment on our values. She gets to listen to me as a football coach too, and we have certain things that we like to talk about sometimes, and she always entertains those conversations, and she's a great listener. So independent of anything else, to me, I'm paired with one of the best leaders in our sport, and really one of the best leaders in college athletics, and I couldn't be more grateful for her partnership. And lastly, ahead of my extension was her extension, and I think that was so important to me too. Not just about, getting time for my staff and myself to keep building this, but to know that I'm going to be side by side with her is really important to me. And so, I could talk all day about Candace and her leadership. I'm grateful to have her as a partner and have a ton of respect for her.
Left side, second row.
Tyler Shaw with KBTX and College Station. Coach, last year you talked about the expectation being Vanderbilt competing for SEC championships. I guess, how do you feel like you are on that trajectory, and do you feel like the team and the guys have kind of bought into that?
I don't believe that you should ever be a part of something that doesn't strive for the highest levels of success. And yet, we can't have big goals and big vision and not have airtight process, right? It's one thing to say, it's another thing to actualize. And I don't want to be a part of a program that doesn't aspire to the highest levels of success. And I know that Vanderbilt football is capable of that. Good things take time, but this will be as good of a team as we've had to this point. And again, that doesn't guarantee us anything. I just said in the big room, I mean, our margins are really thin. And we have to play to an identity and execute and limit our opponent and be really smart in our design, or else, we're not going to be as successful as we could be. And yet, if we do those things to a high level, we've proven the ability to be competitive and win in this league. And for us, it's having the telescope, the big picture vision, but then shifting quickly to the microscope and what we're doing in our process day in, day out, ultimately to find out how good this team can be. And, as we sit right now, we've got great designs on great success, but what I know to be true about any college football journey is there's going to be adversity. What I'm excited about is I love the people that I work with. So I get to problem solve with people that I care about, players and coaches and administration. And anything you do in life, you want to strive after the highest level. You want to do it with people you care about. You want to look to your left and your right and feel like, these people are making me better and they're challenging me. And that's what makes me so excited for this season. This is the most excited as I've ever been for a fall. And it's not because I think it's going to be easy, It's actually because I think it's going to be really challenging. But the depth of relationship and the depth of authenticity we've grown in our building is something that I'm really proud to be a part of.
Right side, third row.
Nick Alvarez, AL.com. Clark, I was wondering if you could share a bit about your time in South Bend opposite Tommy Rees and why he might be a good fit for this conference.
I was waiting for the Tommy Rees question. Tommy's got great musical taste, okay? That's first, and he's a really competitive noon hoops player, which everyone needs to be aware of that before you step on the court with him at least. No, Tommy's he's a talented coach, he's a talented person, he's smart. I think he's a great fit there with Coach Saban, and they're gonna do a great job together. He's young, and so he maintains connection with the players, which I think is so important. He's fiery, he's intense, but the thing that he and I connected on most was just being smart in design. I mean, we spent a lot of time together, particularly when he was the quarterback's coach. I would have him in my office all the time. I'd be asking him questions and, trying to get a better understanding of what the quarterback's looking like and what impacts play at that position. And, he loves the chess match. And not just him. I enjoyed, his players. Ian Book, I'd have in my office all the time, and I'd be picking his brain. I mean, it's just the guy knows how to coach. And so I'm excited for him, and I'm looking for him to have great success.
Left side, fourth row.
Hey, Clark, with Elijah McAllister here today, what did he mean to you as you were kind of getting your feet wet early on with the program as a leader? And what do you think it says about him that he's only, at Auburn a few months and they picked him to come here?
It's no surprise. He's a special person, and he's someone that I maintain touch with. I care about him a lot. He's a Vanderbilt graduate. He's a guy that early in was locked in arms with us to help build out this program, and it wasn't perfect. And I think that defines a lot of the best relationships we have, is that it's not going to be perfect, but can you communicate honestly with each other? Can you challenge each other? And our closeness and connection was built through those conversations. And this is a guy with a great future ahead of him, and I'm excited for him to be here, and it's right for him to be here. And I think our college football world needs guys like Elijah because he understands the platform.
Right side, second row.
Hey, Clark. A lot of improvements going on facility-wise at the school, obviously. Can you just kind of speak to how this season will be just unique from a stadium standpoint, given what you'll be playing in as they continue to try to build it up?
Well, we're a work in progress. It's kind of like the program, right? And just like the program, we're a year ahead, but sometimes you got to tear down before you can build up. And right now, we've torn down the end zones of our stadium, and they're hard at work at pouring foundation, and we've done that too in our program. And so there's a lot of parallels there. Listen, whatever inconveniences present, and there will be some for everyone involved. We need to celebrate those because it's progress. And this is something that before I was the Vanderbilt coach, I was a Vanderbilt player, a Vanderbilt fan. We've been screaming for this for 30 years, and here it is. And now we get to choose to set our attitude and see the joy in the progress and to celebrate advancement and to know that in short order, Vanderbilt football will be situated at a top 15 school, playing in the best conference in the country, in the middle of the best city in the country, and with first-class, best-in-class facilities. And, we're a one of one already. To me, that's just an incredible platform from which we continue to level up and build forward.
Two final questions. First, right on the aisle here.
Hey, Clark. Colin Wilson with the Action Network.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Last year, week 0 game against Hawaii produced 2 bye weeks in October, and then you had 2 upsets in November against Florida and Kentucky. This year, a very similar situation. Were the 2 bye weeks in October last year essential to health in November, or did that contribute at all?
I don't know specifically. We had a similar format in both bye weeks, so we didn't necessarily scale back. It was pretty typical for what we've done. I will say that we've shifted design on the front end of our process just to help account for the length of the season. Our challenge is we want to be the toughest team in our conference, and you can't just say that. I mean, that's a statement, but that's our goal. We have to be. So how do you do that? You got to practice. You got to train. You got to be really competitive every single day. And inevitably, the more you practice, the more you train, the more physical you are in those environments, the more exposed you are to injury. But as our team has understood and learned how to maximize those training opportunities and practice opportunities, we've been able to create some buffers for them to recover, and that is so important. As we shift into a time where we're going to be fighting for postseason play, our performance at the end of the season is going to be critical. And so, we want to be really smart in our design. We want to use the bye weeks the best that we can, both to develop guys that haven't been on the field for us and are young in our program, but also to make sure that we're launching forth to the finish. And so we'll look to do that this season.
Final question, back row.
Coach Corey LeBounty, WNSP 105.5 in Mobile, Alabama. You have an incoming freshman on your roster, Cameron Johnson from Mobile. The ability to come in and immediately have an opportunity to make an impact, not only for Cameron, but other freshmen on your program. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we don't recruit anybody into our program without promising them an opportunity to compete for playing time, and I think that's important. Now, the opportunity to compete is the important part of that, right? We don't promise playing time. We want to give them a chance. And certainly for Cam and for all our freshmen, they know, they understand that. They recognize that they're going to get their chances to go out there and to find a role for themselves. I think that the big challenge, and it's a lot of times your instinct as a coach is to try to judge things as quickly as you can, because when you eliminate, it just makes decisions easier. And I think the real skill here is to give these guys a long enough runway and to be patient with them so that even if they're not ready by the first game, that it may be 3 games in or halfway in. We talk about sustaining a roster through the course of the season. Part of that is how are you interjecting guys into your game plan that maybe weren't there early but are capable late. And so for all these guys, it's going to be about using the next month to position themselves to have a role, to start, all that stuff. None of it's off the table for any of them. But even if we enter the season and they're not quite ready, we'll stay with them and continue to develop them. And as soon as they're ready to help us win, they'll be out there. And that's what a developmental program does. And, that'll be fun to watch Cam go through that experience along with his freshman brothers.
Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks.